So Nancy Mace got completely schooled after Marilyn Strickland just casually dropped facts on the Pentagon DEI ban. And yeah, this was one of those hearings where a Republican rolls out the same tired culture war script, and then a Democrat comes in with actual data and just dismantles the whole thing in real time. You could see it, the talking points start to crumble the second Strickland lays out the numbers, the history, and the receipts the GOP would rather pretend don't exist. Let's watch the full clip, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
We will now consider log number 4820 by Ms. Mace. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from South Carolina seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
Will the clerk please distribute the amendment without objection? The reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The chair recognizes the gentlelady for the purpose of explaining her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is simple and frankly long overdue. It mandates promotions and personnel decisions are based on one thing and one thing only: merit. Not skin color, not gender, not woke ideology, just merit, performance, and capability as it should be in the world's greatest fighting force. This amendment is uncontroversial, at least it should be. The American people expect, and our national security demands, the capabilities of our armed forces. This amendment puts an end to the poison seeping into the Department of Defense, identity-based favoritism, race-based promotions, and equity mandates which put politics ahead of performance. Our service members must rise through the ranks on the basis of their skills and their performance, not what they look like. Under the Biden administration, we saw an increasing focus on equitable outcomes and personnel policy. We've seen promotions and leadership training slots doled out based on who earned them, not on who earned them, but on who checked the right demographic boxes. These policies were discrimination in disguise. It's social engineering on the taxpayer dime and made our military weaker. In the military, the stakes are literally life and death. When you're flying an aircraft, operating a naval vessel, or leading a platoon, merit matters. Skills matter. In combat, no one cares about what you look like or what your pronouns are. All that matters is if you can get the job done. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have ushered the department back to a culture of excellence, not entitlement. Under their leadership, the Department of Defense is reorienting itself back to its core mission. But let's be honest, under another administration, all this nonsense can come roaring back. If we don't lock meritocracy into law, we're one election away from going back to racial quotas and gender-bending nonsense. This amendment is a recommitment to a principle which should be used and should not be taken for granted. The most competent person gets the job. Let's stop playing politics with personnel policy. Let's stop telling our troops you have to look a certain way to get ahead. Let's stop pretending DEI is anything other than a dangerous distraction. Let's restore merit, restore sanity, and get our military back to doing what it does best, winning on the battlefield. And I urge my colleagues to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Does any member seek recognition? Gentlelady from Washington, Ms. Strickland.
Thank you, Chairman. Some of my colleagues seem to believe that merit and diversity are mutually exclusive. And the reality is that the diversity of the U.S. Armed Forces is one of its greatest strengths. And then there's criticism about previous administrations. This is my 5th year in Congress and my 5th year on this committee. And on both sides of the aisle, I consistently hear people say that the U.S. military is the most lethal fighting force in the world. Period. Before this president took the White House and before many others have. So what's changed? This attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion is really an attempt to suppress, erase, and make some people invisible while elevating others. And remember, it was not that long ago when we desegregated the military. My own father served in a segregated army. And of course, what's ironic here is that we're talking about being anti-DEI when the Secretary of Defense is the poster child for DEI. If things are based on merit and qualification, why in God's name is Pete Hegseth the Secretary of Defense? Is it merit that black men in the Air Force's junior enlisted ranks are 86% more likely than their white counterparts to face non-judicial punishment in court-martial? Is it merit that Black and Latino service members remain vastly underrepresented in the officer corps compared to their numbers in the force as a whole? But again, This is part of a strategic effort by this administration to roll back civil and human rights in this country. My colleagues want to hand-wave away discrimination in the military and in society as if 80 years of effort makes up for hundreds of years of lawful discrimination. When you look at the enlisted ranks in the US military, over 40% are represented by people of color and minorities. And I know that some of my colleagues think that supporting service members from underrepresented groups somehow takes away from what they view as merit, but is completely misguided. Our diversity is what makes us strong. Our diversity is what gives us the ability to fight and to do things around the world. There is a reason that when the Supreme Court ruled against DEI for college admissions, they exempted the US military academies because they knew that DEI was essential for them to do well. Efforts to take us backwards are not just misguided, they're harmful to our readiness. Let's include people. Let's include anyone who is qualified and willing to serve. It's the foundation of who we are as a country. It's the most patriotic thing we can do. And I urge my colleagues to vote against this amendment. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Gentlelady yields back. The chairman would like to state that he supports this amendment. Does anybody else seek recognition on the gentlelady's amendment? If there's no further debate, the question occurs on the amendment offered by Ms. Mace. So many in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to. Recorded votes requested. Recorded vote will be postponed to a later time.
Okay, wow. So first off, Mace comes in with this whole merit thing, like she's just discovered the concept, right? But then she builds the entire case on a fantasy version of the military where systemic bias magically doesn't exist. She paints DEI as some kind of poison and social engineering, but skips over completely the mountains of evidence that Black and Latino service members are still facing disproportionate punishment and being locked out of higher ranks. We're talking GAO reports, DOD data, actual government audits, not some woke blog post. And then she tosses in the gender-bending nonsense line like, okay, there it is, the MAGA crowd pleaser. Because, you know, nothing says serious national security policy like making sure you get in your little dig at trans people for the base. That's the priority, apparently. Oh, and the shout out to Trump and Hegseth, as if those two are some gold standard of military leadership. This is the same Trump who dodged the draft and spent his presidency insulting generals, and the same Hegseth who's busy purging the Pentagon of inclusion programs while publicly mocking the idea that diversity has any value at all. Then Strickland gets the mic, and you can practically hear the air change in the room. She lays out the receipts her father's service in a segregated army, the documented 86% higher punishment rate for Black airmen, the fact that over 40% of enlisted ranks are people of color, but they're barely represented among officers. That's proof the playing field isn't level. And she hits them with the Supreme Court exemption for the military because, yeah, even this very conservative court acknowledged the military has a unique, legitimate interest in maintaining diversity. Mace wants to call DEI discrimination in disguise, but what she's actually defending is the status quo, where the same groups that have always had the advantage keep it, and anyone pointing out the imbalance gets accused of being political. It's a complete inversion of reality. And the fact that the committee chair just breezes in to say he supports it, yeah, that's the GOP right now, united in attacking something they either don't understand or just don't care to understand because the outrage plays better on Fox News than the truth does. This wasn't about merit. It was about making a statement to the MAGA base that the culture war comes before actual military readiness. And the tragedy is that amendment passed. Let me just say this. South Carolina, please don't hand your governor's office to Nancy Mace. She's shown over and over that she'll put MAGA culture wars ahead of the real issues that actually improve people's lives. Her record makes it clear she's more interested in scoring political points by tearing down diversity and inclusion than in strengthening your communities or protecting your future. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.